Let's give this a go then. Put ourselves into the mind of Andy Farrell and those Lions coaches and try and pick a Lions Matchday 23 to take on Australia in the first test. Welcome back to the channel. That's what I'm doing in this video. No doubt selection always divides people, so some of you will absolutely hate my selections. The comment section, that's where you can let me know. And those of you that like them, the comment section is also where we can agree on things. So drop a comment down below, like the video as well, and hit that subscribe button as we tick closer to the first test here in Brisbane between the Wallabies and the British and Irish Lions. I've got to say, there are some positions here that I think are quite straightforward, and we will pretty much all be in agreement on them and probably would have been in agreement for quite a while now. And there are some others that are devilishly difficult. There are going to be some top quality players that are missing out in this team. It's going to be brutal for them. We'll find out who Andy Farrell has selected on Thursday. That's when the Lions are naming their team. Also, for the context of this, the latest from here in Brisbane is that obviously Blair Kinghorn's got his injury, so he's very much touch and go. And Mac Hansen as well apparently is nursing something. We already know Ringrose is out, Luke Cowan-Dickie as well. But, well, I'll get on to my selections, but that bit of information does impact some of the positions here. So, shall we start? Let's start in the front row. Relatively straightforward this for me. I've gone for Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan and Will Stewart. Dan Sheehan, first of all, I think he's an absolute lock at hooker. He was a lock before the tour. Nothing has changed on tour for him being the starting hooker. It's clearly the obvious choice, and I'll get onto my replacements once I've gone through the starting 15, but he's captained some of the tour games out here, hasn't he? Or one of the tour games. Awesome hooker, one of the best in the world, best hooker in the squad. Dan Sheehan is my hooker. Andrew Porter and Will Stewart. Let's start on the loosehead side, because there's a real argument here that I think Ellis Genge is arguably the form loosehead on the tour so far. And Lions tours are all about form, aren't they? You're not picking for a team in a few years' time or for a couple of weeks' time. It's the here and now. So for those of you that are watching this and thinking you'd go for Ellis Genge, I totally get it. I went for Andrew Porter in the end. I think partly because I think Porter has still been good when we've seen him, and partly, spoiler alert for my bench, the impact Genge can have coming onto the game. You could easily have Genge starting. I think people agree with me. It's between those two, really. It's whether you start one and bench the other, with the greatest respect to Pierre Schoeman. But I feel like that's how most people would see it. I've gone with Andrew Porter. One of those selections that if you put forward a more compelling argument, I could certainly go with Ellis Genge. I think he's had an outstanding tour. Will Stewart on the tight head. Tight head is really interesting because before the tour, I had Tadhg Furlong in my team. And I think Will Stewart and Finlay Bealham have both had really good tours. Finlay Bealham is a guy who wasn't part of the original squad. I think he's been outstanding. I think Will Stewart's been excellent as well off the back of having a very, very good season with both England and Bath. And then in Tadhg Furlong, he was better, wasn't he, the other night? When was it we saw him? In Canberra. Was it in Canberra? I lose track of time now. Like he's got better throughout the tour, but he has looked like a guy that is returning to fitness, hasn't played for a little while, is trying to get up to speed. The question here is, how much weight do you put in his experience? And that you know if Tadhg Furlong is getting close to back to his best, you give him the shot at starting the team because he is a two-tour Lion. He starts all the test matches on the two previous tours that he has been involved in, so therefore you go Tadhg Furlong. I've gone Will Stewart. I think Will Stewart has had a great year. I think he's been good on this tour. He's a good scrummager. So for me, it's Will Stewart, but yeah, again, the props, I think there's a lot more conversation around the props than I would have thought there was going to be 6 months ago or even a couple of months ago. I'd have had Andrew Porter and Tadhg Furlong absolutely locked on there. As it is, there's a little bit more room for manoeuvre, but that's what I've gone for. Okay, into the second row. Maro Itoje, I mean, he's the captain, but not just because of that. He is a class operator. I think you possibly get the best out of Maro on a tour like this when he's captaining the Lions away from home. Maro is, for me, the best second row in this squad, the best second row in Britain and Ireland. Maro starts. Joe McCarthy is my man in the other shirt, which I think he has played his way onto on this tour. I think before the tour, I'd have had Tadhg Beirne there. I don't know if we've necessarily seen the best of him. Scott Cummings has had a mixed bag. Didn't have a good game at the start of the tour against the Western Force. James Ryan has been returning to fitness as well. So I've gone with Joe McCarthy. I think he's had an excellent tour. I think he's been on great form. Partner him with Maro Itoje, and that's a pretty formidable second row combination. Not to mention the fact that I think McCarthy is one of those heavier second rows, isn't he? Rather than being a guy that could play six, for example, he is an out-and-out second row. So I like partnering him with Maro. Right, into the back row. This is arguably the most competitive area of the team, I think. I suppose the positions that I struggled with. Yeah, I guess it is back row, really. I'll get into the details of 12 and the back three and things, but actually with injuries, that's made it a little bit more straightforward. Back row is brutal. I have gone for a bigger body six in Ollie Chesham. I think he's excellent. I think he's been good on this tour. I think he has been nursing a slight injury is the only thing. I think he has been training, I believe. So therefore, I'm presuming he's available for selection. I like the fact that you've got a really good second line-out option in your back row. I think he's excellent. I really rate Ollie Chesham. I could have gone Tyburn here. I just feel like Chesham on form is the slightly better option. If you're doing it based off the last few years, you go Tyburn. But have we seen the best of Tyburn on this tour? Maybe not. But I've gone with Ollie Chesham. Jack Conan at number 8 because he's the only out-and-out 8 in the team. I think he's played well. I think you go with Jack Conan, good ball carrier, had a good tour. It was a Lion in 2021 as well. So Jack Conan, and that's 7. This was on my team sheet, this was where I just had 3 question marks for the longest period of time. I've ended up going for Josh van der Flier. So no Tom Curry, no Jack Morgan. I just think Van der Flier is a guy that knows Andy Farrell's system so well. I think he gets through so much work that you don't necessarily appreciate and realise. I think he's incredibly hard-working. Obviously a top-quality player as well. We've seen that previously with the World Player of the Year award. I ended up going for Josh van der Flier. This is a little bit like Loosehead for me, that some of you will have a compelling case for Jack Morgan. Some of you will have a compelling case for Tom Curry, who is just outstanding. But I've ended up going for Josh van der Flier. And I'll get onto my bench as well, because that's pretty intriguing. When you look at the back row, you're obviously considering the replacements. But that's my starting pack. Halfbacks, arguably the easiest selection in the team. I think along with Dan Sheehan and Maro Itoje, I think your halfbacks are set. Jamison Gibson-Park and Finn Russell. Don't really need to say too much more. They've played together once, but they look sharp and classy when they did. A sign of some really good players. I think Finn Russell's been a brilliant season that he's continuing with the Lions. And we haven't seen much of Gibson-Park, but he'll know what Andy Farrell wants from this game plan. He's been excellent. So those are the halfbacks. Into the centres. So Ringrose is out, which I think means it has to be Hugh Jones at 13, doesn't it? I don't think they're going to put Bundy or Sione Tuipulotu at 13 and move things around like they have done. I don't think they're going to take Tommy Freeman from the wing and put him in at centre. So Hugh Jones, easy lock at 13. What do you do at 12? This is one of the question marks. I've gone with Bundy Aki. There is a very good argument that would say you put Sione Tuipulotu with his club and country teammate in Hugh Jones, with the country teammate in Finn Russell. You have that Scottish axis throughout your midfield, who are a pretty exciting and good attacking team, and that would be the best thing to do. Personally, I just don't think we've really seen anywhere near the best of Sione Tuipulotu. He's a great player. He's a more all-round rugby player than Bundy Aki is. And Bundy Aki hasn't been sensational by any stretch. He hasn't been at his best either. But, I don't know, I'm just tempted to go more for Bundy Aki. I think particularly because this is going to be a test match. We're not going to see, I don't think, the Lions offloading it and going wide as early as they have been and all that sort of thing. I think things will tighten up. So I've gone for Bundy Aki, and I think you give him the ball and you tell him to get you over the gain line. And I still look back, I know it was a little while ago now, but Bundy Aki at the 23 World Cup, until Ireland got knocked out, was one of the best players in that tournament. His ability to get over the gain line, maybe he's not playing quite at that level yet, which would be a fair counter-argument to that. But I've just thought, Finn Russell at 10, we've given him a great pack. You give him an inside centre that was just, you're going to say, head down, get over the gain line, and then he can facilitate elsewhere. Sione Tuipulotu could probably do that as well. This is a flip of a coin. I've gone with Bundy Aki. Into the back three, let's round off the starting team. Pretty straightforward, this. James Lowe, Tommy Freeman, Hugo Keenan, in particular because Blair Kinghorn, will he, won't he be fit? Had a knee injury, is he going to be ready for the first test? So for me, that's ruled him out. Mac Hansen as well. I think Mac Hansen has been really pushing to be part of this team. If there is questions over his fitness, that maybe he will be okay and we'll find out on Thursday. But based upon the information at the moment, for me, this is straightforward. James Lowe and Tommy Freeman on the wings and Hugo Keenan at fullback. I don't think you go Marcus Smith at fullback. Duhan van der Merwe hasn't done enough. Straightforward selections for me. What do you make of the starting 15 then? Let's do the bench. So this is the bench. Hooker's easy because Luke Cowan-Dickey's gone down. Jamie George and Ewan Ashman are linking up with the team. So Dan Sheehan's going to start. Ronan Kelleher will be on the bench. I was singing Ellis Genge's praises earlier. He's my replacement loose head. And I have gone for Tyke Furlong as my replacement tight head. There is an argument, like you could genuinely make a fair argument that Will Stewart and Finlay Bealham should be the tight heads with no Furlong. I couldn't leave Furlong out entirely. I put him on the bench to have the experience coming off. You're not asking as much for him in terms of minutes, but you still want him part of the matchday squad. So for me, I've gone with Furlong. That is brutal on Finlay Bealham. He's been brilliant on this tour. He couldn't have done any more, but I have ended up going with Tyke Furlong. Tyke Byrne, also on the bench, second row and 6 option is what I'm thinking there. A good line-out option. He covers multiple positions. And then your back row player, I really wanted to put Henry Pollock here. Like, really wanted to. It's a great story. He's infectious. Can you imagine the moment on the touchline if he is on the bench? When Henry Pollock stripped off, ready to come on, the TV camera pans to him and the reaction from the crowd. He's that sort of player. I just think on form, Ben Earl has been better than him. And the reason that there's no Jack Morgan or Tom Curry here is because I think Ben Earl or Henry Pollock have are better options to cover the whole of the back row. I know you could shift those other guys around. We've seen Curry at 8. Morgan has played around in that back row as well. Personally, I want Ben Earl, who we've seen a lot at 8, plus you could put him on the flank. The dynamism and energy he brings, it was close between him and Pollock. Personally, do you agree with me? I think Ben Earl has had a better tour. So based upon form, I've put him in there. But the Pollock story is great. I'll be happy if it was that as well. All right, the really interesting thing on replacements, to finish off the video, is how you balance it with covering positions. I've gone with Alex Mitchell, obviously, as the replacement 9. I think Ben White could come into the equation here for Test 2, by the way, but Mitchell's played in every game. He's got through so many minutes. You pick him for now. I've then gone for Marcus Smith as your 10-15 cover, and then Tua Pilotu as covering the centres. And then within the starting team as well, you've got Hugh Jones, who could cover fullback, Tommy Freeman, who could cover outside centre. I think I've covered myself fairly well. The really interesting thing here, and I know loads of people will hate this, but when you look at your bench and your backs replacements, you can really start to see where there would be an argument for an Owen Farrell, which if you've got Mitchell as your 9, you could have Farrell as your 10-12, and then what does it open up in terms of another position? Particularly if Mac Hansen's fit. If Mac Hansen's fit, it's maybe a different conversation, but if you've got Hansen that could play 15, plus the back 3, if you've already got Tommy Freeman that could play centre, there are definitely things you could do with your bench and the replacements. And that's why I think there's a good chance we see Owen Farrell for the second test. But that is my Matchday 23 for the Lions' first test. What do you make of it? Let me know. Drop a comment down below. The interesting thing for me is there hasn't been mega movement from probably what I would have thought before the tour. I probably had Furlong starting. I think I had Byrne in the second row. I might have had a Tom Curry at 7, but 7 was always going to be competitive. I think I probably had possibly had Tua Pilotu at 12. I actually can't remember now. I had Freeman on the wing, I had James Lowe on the wing. I actually had Hugo Keenan at fullback rather than Kinghorn. So there hasn't been a huge amount of movement, I don't think, based upon the tour games. I think we're not far from where we probably expected to be. What do you make of it? Give me your team down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And who's looking forward to the first test? Cannot wait. I cannot wait for it to liven up here in Brisbane and more fans to arrive. I think it's going to be wicked. So I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next one.